Minister of Health, Sheikh Dr. Bassel Sabah, announced on Tuesday more people recovering from COVID-19. The minister said analysis, medical examinations, and tests proved that these cases were cured of the virus. The official said the recovered will be transferred to the hospital recuperation ward pending their discharge within the next few days. Iran has reopened mosques in parts of the country deemed as low risk from COVID-19 as it announced another 74 deaths from the disease. The health ministry said the new fatalities brought to 6,277 the total number officially recorded in Iran since it reported the first cases in mid-February. That was a jump in deaths compared with 47 on Sunday, which was the lowest daily count that Iran has recorded in 55 days. Another 1,223 cases of COVID-19 infections were recorded in the past 24 hours, health authorities said, raising the total to 98,647. The global death toll from the coronavirus pandemic topped a $250,000 on Tuesday, with the U.S. government predicting a further surge in fatalities as an international vaccine drive garnered $8 billion in pledges. The dire forecast from the United States came as much of the Western world emerged from weeks of lockdown, with hopes that the disease may have peaked in Europe, where deaths in the worst affected countries have dropped after nearly 2 months of confinement. But the global progress did little to cool the war towards between the U.S. and China over responsibility for the pandemic, a feud that has been fueled by U.S. claims the virus originated in a Chinese lab, a theory the World Health Organization labeled speculative. Europe is the hardest hit continent with around 145,000 fatalities. The U.S. has recorded close to 68,700. Together, they account for more than 85% of global deaths. Russia cemented its place as the European country reporting the highest number of new coronavirus infections Tuesday, as its total cases soared past 155,000. Health officials reported 10,102 new infections over the last 24 hours, a decrease of 531 cases from Sunday's record surge, bringing Russia's total to 155,370. Russia has emerged as a new coronavirus hotspot as many European countries unveil plans to ease lockdown measures after their numbers of new infections and deaths began to fall. France announced that more than 25,000 people had died in the country due to the COVID-19 coronavirus epidemic after a new jump in the daily death toll. The health ministry said 25,201 people are now confirmed to have died from the virus in the country in hospitals and nursing homes. Over the last 24 hours, 306 people died from COVID-19, more than double the figure of 135 from the day earlier. France is due to emerge on May 11th from a lockdown that began in mid-March to combat the virus, with officials saying the epidemic is steadying while warning the country must remain cautious to ward off a second wave. According to data from the health ministry, Spain registered just a slight rise in the number of daily deaths and infections on Tuesday. In the last 24 hours, the country counted 867 new COVID-19 infections and 185 more deaths. Both numbers are up from yesterday, when the country saw 164 deaths and 356 new infections, but significantly below their peak. In total, since the outbreak began, health authorities have confirmed 219,329 COVID-19 infections, 25,613 deaths, and 123,486 recoveries. On Monday night, the Spanish government published its latest unemployment figures. In April, Spain saw a new loss of nearly 50,000 jobs, and the number of unemployment reached 3.83 million. More than 10 times as many people in Germany have likely been infected with the coronavirus than the number of confirmed cases, researchers from the University of Bonn have concluded from a field trial in one of the worst-hit towns. The researchers said the preliminary study results, which have yet to be peer-reviewed for publication in a scientific journal, serve as a reminder of the danger of infection by unidentified carriers of the virus, some of whom show no symptoms. The readings come as Germany took further steps on Monday to ease restrictions, with museums, hairdressers, churches, and more car factories reopening under strict conditions. Chinese health authorities on Tuesday reported only one imported infection with COVID-19 with 0 fatalities. The National Health Commission said in a statement, mainland China's total number of infections now stands at 82,881, with the death toll still standing at 4,633. The Commission also reported 15 new asymptomatic cases for May 4th, an increase of 2 from the previous day. Australia and New Zealand said on Tuesday efforts to resume travel between the two countries will take some time as they cautiously reopen their mostly shattered economies after containing outbreaks of the novel coronavirus. Australia and New Zealand have for more than a month closed their borders to all non-citizens and imposed mandatory quarantine on anyone returning home from overseas. Both countries have a COVID-19 mortality rate of just 1%, well below most of other countries, with the number of new cases just a fraction of their March peaks. Australian Prime Minister said travel across the Tasman Sea between the neighbours will be the first international route restarted and would likely begin around the time domestic air travel restarts in earnest. Syrian state media said Tuesday Israeli missiles targeting a research facility in northern Syria were intercepted Monday, while a war monitor reported a second attack minutes later in the east. Israel has launched hundreds of strikes in Syria since the start of the war in 2011, targeting government troops. Official media reports said Syrian air defenses intercepted an Israeli aggression on a research center in Aleppo province. A military source said that the intercepted missiles targeted several military depots in the Al Safira area southeast of Aleppo city. The Israeli army did not comment on the reports. The Trump administration is escalating tensions with allies as it seeks to renew a UN arms embargo on Iran that's set to expire this year, threatening to kill what's left of the nuclear agreement the US quit 2 years ago if countries don't go along. Officials, including Secretary of State Michael Pompeo, are warning that the US could try to force a snapback of sanctions against Tehran by all United Nations Security Council members as part of the 2015 Iran nuclear accord if the arms embargo is allowed to expire in October. Renewing the arms embargo won't be easy. Russia has repeatedly indicated it will oppose an extension, and China isn't likely to go along with the US proposal either. Both have veto power on the Security Council. The United States and Britain launched trade negotiations by video conference on Tuesday following the UK's exit from the European Union, as both allies struggle with the effects of the coronavirus pandemic and aim to shore up domestic supply chains. The talks will be Washington's first major new trade negotiation in 2020 and take place at the same time as London works out trade terms with the EU with a year-end deadline. US trade representatives said little publicly about the UK trade talks since publishing a sweeping set of objectives more than a year ago that sought full access for US agricultural products and reduced tariffs for US manufactured goods.